All right, guys. Hey, what's going on? I am back. So, I'm not really back. I literally just recorded the ending of the last video, but this is the beginning of my. This is the continuation of my 1,000-hour Q&A for Dreaming Spanish. So I'm not gonna talk too much about it. Let's go ahead and get right into the video. If you did not see part one, go and watch part one on my channel. But I'm continuing right where I left off. So let's go. When did I start listening to native content, and what is my lowest comprehensibility percentage I'm comfortable with? I would say the lowest that I'm okay with would probably be 65%. I think 65% is right there, low enough. Like, if I wanted to, I could listen at 60, I could listen at 50, but I don't think it would be enjoyable. I think the least I can listen to and have it be enjoyable is 65% comprehension, where there's still a lot of stuff that I'm missing, but I'm still getting the main story. And that's one thing I want to talk about, is that if you're like me, I'm one of those guys that, like, I didn't want to watch a show unless I completely understood it. Because whenever I watch shows, I like to be fully paying attention to the show and understanding what's going on, listen to all the little details. But I had to kind of like change the way that I watch shows and kind of be in, like Pablo says, and kind of in exactly how we had to do with watching Dreaming Spanish and watching other CI videos, is you have to be more comfortable with ambiguity. You have to be more comfortable with ambiguity and not really knowing 100% what's being said all the time, but still understanding the context and still understanding what's going on. And I started listening to native content at around 550. I think that was like when I first started listening to Avatar. And then when it comes to 500, 550 is when I started listening to Avatar, and when I started watching some of these like more native like YouTubers. But I would say I really was able to lock in at like 750 hours. That's really when I was able to be like, okay, anime, if I want to watch anime, boom, let's put it on. If I want to watch a show, boom, let's put it on. If I want to watch a YouTuber, boom, let's put it on. Let's try it. Or maybe not let's put it on, but let's try it and see if I can understand it. What is my speaking experience look like? So I have been speaking. Yes, as you guys heard at the beginning of the video, I started speaking. And I currently have, I think, 10 or 11 hours of speaking. I do have a lesson in like 20 minutes. And I was gonna wait to 1,000 hours to start speaking. But I think a few weeks ago, one of my friends told me, he was like, hey, AJ, in December, we might be going to Colombia. If you want to go, like, let me know. And I was like, okay, like, I still don't know 100% if the trip is happening or not, but just in case, I was like, you know what? Boom, bet. I'll start practicing speaking tomorrow. So, like I said, that was a few weeks ago, and I think that was when I was at like 930 hours or something like that, 925. But yeah, I've been speaking ever since. I have 10 hours of speaking, 11 hours of speaking, and I want to say that you will be surprised. First off, whenever you start speaking, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult because it is something that you have never, ever done before. Or even if you are just speaking in front of a camera or just speaking around your house, speaking by yourself in short phrases is a lot harder than speaking with somebody, trying to respond to their questions using the right conjugations, the right grammar, the right tenses. You know what I mean? So doing those things are things that you've never really done before. So it's something that you do have to practice. Speaking is just like listening. It's something that you have to practice, but you will be surprised by, after just a very short amount of practice time, like after 10 hours of practice time, I can hold a conversation. Like, I can sit here and at 1,000 hours, I can say that I can hold a conversation for an hour with a Spanish speaker. Is it the best Spanish? No. Am I making mistakes? Yes. 100% I'm making mistakes. Is there vocabulary still missing from my head? Yes. But the important part is that I can speak. The important part is that I can communicate. And honestly, whenever you start to speak, if you ask me, I believe that whenever you start to speak, one of the reasons why you end up progressing so fast is just because there are a lot of things that you just don't know how to say yet, that you've never said before. But maybe you've heard somebody say it. Maybe it might not be a problem for you to say it, but your first time trying to think of a completely new Spanish sentence that you've never said before is going to be difficult. But you'll notice that after you've said something or after you've talked about something before, the next time you talk about it, it's like 2 times easier. You can speak the first time you were talking about, like, for example, for me, I have 3 italki tutors, or more than 3. I kind of like rotate between like 5, but I do like 3 lessons a week, and I just pick kind of like who's available. One of them is very informal. It's just talking. One of them, it's we talk, and he'll kind of like, if I make a mistake, he'll like write it down. He'll be like, hey, you don't say this, you'd rather say this. And then the third person, he actually comes with a more of a structured lesson, but it's still conversational. He just picks a topic for us to talk about, and then we'll talk about it. And he'll have questions, he'll have vocab words to go with the topic, and he'll be like, hey, let me know if you don't know any of these words, and then he'll explain it to me. Then he'll ask me to use those words in sentences, and then he'll have questions. It'll ask me to respond, or what do I think about these questions, and it's all around really cool. And for example, one of the guys asked me, I think one of the topics was the benefits of AI, right? Or the effect of AI on society, or something like that. And we were talking about it, and then another lesson, a few lessons later, a different guy asked me about AI. So whenever he asked me about AI, I was able to talk way more clearly and way more, I don't know if concise is the word, but I would just say better, a lot better about AI the second time than I was the first time. The first time I was struggling. I didn't really know what I wanted to say. I didn't know like how I wanted to formulate my thoughts. But the second time that I brought it up, I already knew what I thought about AI. I already know how I feel about it. I don't need to get these new thoughts that I have and put these thoughts in Spanish. That sounds weird, but to people that have spoken before, you know what I mean. Like taking a new thought that you've never thought about before or never said before in Spanish and trying to say it in Spanish for the first time, that's the most difficult part. But once you've already said it, or you've already thought about it, the next time you go to bring it up, the next time you go to talk about it, it's gonna be way easier. And that's how it is with like a whole bunch of stuff in Spanish. So that's why you improve so fast, is because I feel like a lot of it is, like I said, not the fact that you're not good at speaking or the fact that you don't know how to say it. It's just that you've never said it before. So it's uncomfortable for you. But once you've talked about a topic before, once you've talked about your day, once you've explained your day 20 times to people before, or once you've talked about your favorite shows enough times, or once you've talked about your hobbies enough times, every single time somebody asks you about your hobby or somebody asks you about your favorite show, it's gonna be easier to talk about it. So that's just one thing I wanted to say. I wanted to get across. I really wanted to make sure that you guys like knew that and understood that. Oh, also, I use ChatGPT for speaking as well. It is very rudimentary. I'll use it for practicing. For example, I'll use it for practicing talking about my day. I'll use it for practicing if I have something that I mess up with. Like for example, for me, preterite versus the imperfect tense. When to use ser versus a star. These are things that kind of like confuse my brain. So I'll tell chat, I'll be like, hey, I want to have a conversation with you, and I want to talk about my day, and I'll talk about my day, and then I'll be like, okay, I want to practice using ser and a star, and when to use which one. Can you ask me questions and I'm gonna respond, and I want you to tell me if I responded the right way, if I responded with the right conjugation, and if I responded with the right tense. And then just through answering questions like these and talking, you're able to practice, whenever I'm talking about this, that's when I use a ser, or whenever I bring up this topic, that's when I use a star. And that's kind of what I was talking about just a second ago about sometimes it's just, you just got to get used to talking about it, or sometimes it's just like your first time saying something, you don't know exactly how it would be said, but once you know how it's said, it's a lot easier to say it the next time and to do it the next time. So I use chat to practice for stuff like that. I don't have long conversations with chat. It's normally like I keep it to like 20 minutes, and sometimes I'll be like, hey chat, ask me completely random questions just so I can practice responding to them, because a lot of the times I feel like that's when we get tripped up. We don't get tripped up talking about stuff we already know. We get tripped up when somebody asks us a question and we have never heard that question, or we've never responded to that question in the way that we want to before. That sounds weird, but again, if you've spoken Spanish, you know what I'm talking about. I think this will probably be the last one on Reddit. And I already talked about when I started reading. Like I said, I started reading at 550 hours, roughly 400 or 500 hours, but I stopped. And now I read daily using ChatGPT. I used it to create stories for me. You could be specific. How early did you ever start listening to audiobooks? Sorry to burst your bubble, but because I didn't read, because I don't like really read books, that kind of sounds weird to say, but because I don't really read a whole bunch, I never really had the urge to listen to an audiobook. I would really just listen to podcasts. Did I ever shadow? And if so, how many hours did I shadow? So I did shadow. I said in my last video that I was going to start shadowing at 850 hours, and I did. Now, did I shadow every single day? Of course I didn't. There were a whole bunch of days that I forgot. But I would say roughly half the week I was shadowing. I definitely think it did help. I think shadowing allows for you to build confidence purely just making the sounds of the language. Shadowing definitely helped me, not even necessarily with the accent, but just with speaking and confident speaking. Whenever you go to speak for the first time, there are a lot of things that you're doing. You are listening to Spanish. You're trying to understand it. You're trying to think of a way to respond in Spanish, and then you go to try to actually speak the Spanish. So that's like 4 things that's happening at one time. And so whenever you go to start speaking Spanish, you don't want to bull rush yourself and try to be working on all those things at the same time. So for me, I was like, let me just practice, not even necessarily like speaking and thinking, but let me just practice speaking as in practicing making the sounds of the language. Practicing just saying a sentence. Practicing just speaking for 2 minutes straight without stopping. These are the things that I think are important because these are the things that are going to help you be way more comfortable whenever you start speaking. And I think it helped. I 100% think it helped with my confidence. I think it helped with because I think sometimes whenever I would start to speak, I wouldn't say something, or I would kind of like hesitate out of fear of messing up. But shadowing has kind of helped me be like, you know what? I don't care if I mess up how to pronounce the word. I'm going to say the word. And if I pronounce it right, I pronounce it right. If I pronounce it wrong, I pronounce it wrong. Now, the way that I did it is I did it both the method of letting them speak one sentence, then I repeat it, and then letting them speak another sentence and I repeat it. And then I also did the lagging behind method where they would probably get like, maybe like 4 or 5 words. I let them talk for 4 or 5 words, and then I would start from there and be repeating behind them, but I would always be lagging behind about 4 or 5 words. That method was really, really good because using that way, I was able to just talk for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes straight and not stop. And that's something that's important because if you're always used to just like taking little breaks and pausing in between your sentences, whenever you go to speak, you're going to be doing the same thing. That's why I think shadowing can be very helpful. If you don't want to shadow, you don't have to shadow. It's fine. Like, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But whenever you get to start speaking, I would definitely recommend shadowing before, because like I said, you're going to be thinking in Spanish, you're going to be trying to respond in Spanish, and you're going to be trying to make the correct Spanish sounds and doing all 3 of those things at the same time. If you practice the Spanish sounds now, you're going to be more comfortable with those. So try shadowing. Did I study Spanish traditionally before? I did in high school for like a year or 2 years, but like the way that I did it made me pay even less attention than probably most people, because I was part of this like accelerated program where they had you do Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 in one class. So like we were moving at like double the speed as everybody else. So like in that class, I was just trying to survive. After the first month and a half, I was like, yeah, I'm not learning in this class anymore. I'm just trying to survive. So that's why I would say that, like, yes, I did learn, but I didn't dive into it like I did with math or science or any other subjects. I just simply went to class. I did what they needed me to do in class, and then I left. Did I do any non-comprehensible input study activities? And if so, what do you think your impact on their progress was? Like I said earlier, I like the lazy method. I like just talking, or I like just watching and listening. I feel like that was the easiest way. But honestly, if you ask me, I don't think that there's really anything that can hurt you. I don't think that there is a wrong way to do this method. I think that comprehensible input will work. The traditional method will work. All of these methods will work, and they have worked before. They worked for a whole bunch of people. What matters 100% the most is the consistency. So if you want to study grammar, fine. If you want to add in flashcards, fine. Do it. If it makes you feel more comfortable and it makes you more consistent, do it. Because guess what? There are a whole bunch of people that did grammar and that did flashcards and that did comprehensible input, and they learned. And there are a whole bunch of people that did none of that, and they learned. And there are a whole bunch of people that did only comprehensible input, people that did only grammar study, and they all learned. These methods work. It's all about combining these methods to make what's best for you and what you're going to be the most consistent with over years. Because to be honest, it is going to take years for you to learn Spanish. Like, I'm at a point now where I'm starting to speak, and I know that it's going to be at least another year before I feel like truly comfortable with Spanish. Like, I feel very comfortable with Spanish right now. I feel like I can sit down, like I can watch any TV show, or maybe not any TV. Well, yeah, kind of. I feel like I can sit down and I can watch almost any TV show, any anime, that's dubbed in Spanish. I feel like I can go and watch, YouTubers and be fine, be able to follow along and be able to understand what's going on. Now, is my comprehension level 90% or 95% or 99% for all of these? No, my comprehension isn't 90% probably for any of them. But what matters the most is that I'm at a point where the amount that I do understand is enough. When you get to 1,000 hours, the amount that you do understand is going to be enough for you to watch shows. It is going to be enough for you to talk to people. It is going to be enough for you to be able to listen to whatever podcast you want. Now, it's going to be harder. If you choose a more difficult show, if you choose a show that's originally from Mexico or originally from Spain or originally from Argentina or originally from Colombia versus a show that's dubbed, that show is going to be harder than a show that's dubbed. But you will probably still be able to follow along. It just won't be as good as this dubbed show. And you'll probably be able to follow along in this dubbed show, but it won't be as good as probably a Dreaming Spanish video. There's always going to be levels to your comprehension. There's always going to be stuff that's going to be harder and that's going to be easier. You don't just hit 1,000 hours. You don't just hit whatever amount of hours and everything becomes unlocked. Or you don't just hit a level and everything suddenly becomes easy. But everything does become unlocked. I saw somebody say this in the comments the other day, and I truly agree with it. He said it for 1,500 hours, but I think of it at 1,000 hours as well, right? Because I think it applies greatly to this. And he said, whenever you hit this level, 1,000 or 1,500, it's like getting your driver's license for the first time. Yes, you have been training to drive, and yeah, you can legally drive, and you can go drive out on the road. You can drive on the highway. You have access to your entire country through driving, but you're still a beginner driver. You know how to drive. You can drive. You can get from point A to point B. But if there are complications along the road, you don't have as much experience as these other experienced drivers. There might not be as many rules as you know. There might not be as many little shortcuts that you know. And I thought that was like a great analogy for this, because that is exactly how you're going to feel. It's going to feel like you just got your license. Like you're excited. You're excited to go out and use your Spanish, but there's still a lot of stuff that you have yet to see, that you have yet to explore, that you have yet to do. And yeah, so like, I think I just saw that analogy and I was like, I have to share this with you guys because that analogy was perfect. What do I like really quickly? What do I like the most about using comprehensible input? Like I said, it's easy. Yeah, it's easy. You just keep watching. That's the only answer. There is no other answer. You just stay consistent. Staying consistent is the answer. What I love about it, and I've already said this a billion times, it's the easiest method to do. You just sit there and you watch videos or you listen to a podcast. You just gotta do it. You just have to be consistent for days and for weeks and for months. Just do it. At some point, it'll work. And what are some of my favorite things outside of Dreaming Spanish? Oh, thank you for asking. Some of my favorite things outside of Dreaming Spanish, I love working out. I love science. When it comes to working out, I started the powerlifting club in my school. So yeah, I used to compete in powerlifting too. I love science. Like I'm an engineer. I study computer engineering. I work in automation engineering now, so I love science and engineering and technology. And I love learning. I like learning. I like hanging out with my friends. I like talking with people. I enjoy the UFC. While I was in college, I did do like a little bit of BJJ. That's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's pretty much just like grappling. So I enjoy that too. I enjoy playing sports, like playing basketball. I enjoy doing things physical, being outside. But yeah, I think I answered all of the questions that either were asked of me, or if someone somebody else asked me a question, I think that I probably answered your question while answering other people's questions. Oh, I guess there is one more. What changed the most between 1,000 and 600 hours? I would probably say your comfortability with native content, for sure. Your ability to understand native content is what changes the most. You're probably gaining more vocabulary, and your ear is becoming more fixed to faster content with different accents, content that is, just a little bit more difficult. You're able to understand it now, or you're able to start to understand it. And you're able to watch native content now. You're able to watch anime. You're able to watch YouTubers with I was gonna say con facilidad, more easily. And it's crazy now that I'm speaking. It's like sometimes my brain will get mixed up, and I'll be like thinking something in English or thinking something in Spanish whenever I'm doing the opposite. So it's super weird. But yeah, for sure, your ability to comprehend native content is definitely what changes between 1,000 and 600 hours. And yeah. So that is it for today's video. There is not a speaking sample in this video, but I will upload one. I don't know. I think I might wait till like 1,050 hours maybe to upload one, or maybe I'll probably just upload one, maybe just a speaking sample now, and then I might do one like every 100 hours. I might do that. So yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. If you guys have any other questions, make sure to let me know. All right, see you later. Bye.